What if I told you that during World War II, American families grew vegetables so powerful they could survive anything nature threw at them? These weren't your typical grocery store crops. These were survival vegetables that fed 20 million victory gardens and helped win a war. But here's what'll shock you. Most of these incredible varieties have completely vanished from American gardens, and the reasons why will blow your mind. 20. Detroit dark red beet. Back when every calorie counted and rationing was real, Detroit dark red beet wasn't just another root vegetable. It was a survival strategy that smart families understood better than anyone. While you were harvesting those deep crimson roots that could store for 8 months without refrigeration, those nutritious greens were feeding your family fresh vitamins when lettuce cost more than meat. Here's what makes this 1892 heirloom absolutely incredible. Nothing went to waste. The roots could handle frost that would kill modern beets. The greens provided more nutrition than spinach, and the deep red juice became natural food coloring when artificial dyes were impossible to find. Today's hybrid beets can't match the intense flavor and keeping quality that helped American families survive the Great Depression and 2 world wars. 19. Early Jersey Wakefield cabbage. If you've ever wondered what real sauerkraut tastes like, you need to understand early Jersey Wakefield cabbage. This pointed-head beauty was the backbone of victory gardens because it delivered something modern vegetables can't: speed and reliability. In just 63 days, families had harvest-ready cabbage that could be planted twice a season in most climates. But here's the genius part that modern gardeners have forgotten. Those tight, conical heads rarely split like today's round cabbages, and they stored beautifully in cool cellars through entire winters. Smart gardeners would plant succession crops every 2 weeks, ensuring fresh cabbage from early summer through late fall. 1 packet of seeds could fill a family's root cellar and provide the fermented vegetables that prevented scurvy when fresh produce was scarce. 18. Mammoth melting sugar peas. Before frozen vegetables destroyed our connection to real food, families grew mammoth melting sugar peas because they understood something we've completely forgotten. You could eat the whole pod. These climbing beauties produce massive, flat pods, so tender and sweet, you'd snack on them right in the garden like nature's candy. What set these peas apart was their incredible productivity and space efficiency. The vines could reach 6 feet tall, covered in those distinctive flat pods that would snap with a satisfying crunch. Victory gardeners loved them because they climbed up trellises, saving precious ground space for other crops while producing protein-rich food all season long. Unlike modern sugar snap peas, these had no tough strings, and the pods stayed tender even when the peas inside grew large. 17. Stowell's evergreen sweet corn. Long before supermarkets sold tasteless corn year-round, Stowell's evergreen sweet corn was the variety that kept American families fed through late summer and fall. This 1848 heirloom had a superpower that modern corn has lost. It stayed sweet on the stalk for weeks instead of turning starchy in days. Here's what made victory gardeners choose this variety over all others: reliability and incredible keeping quality. The ears grew 8 to 9 inches long with 16 to 18 rows of deep white kernels that had an almost creamy texture when cooked. Families would have corn roasts, cut kernels off the cob for canning, and even dry some for winter cornmeal. This corn proved that good genetics don't need improving. They just need preserving. 16. Henderson Bush Lima beans, the protein powerhouse. When protein was precious and meat was rationed, Henderson Bush Lima beans were the answer to every victory gardener's prayers. These compact plants didn't need poles or trellises, making them perfect for small backyard plots. And they produced an abundance of buttery, nutritious beans that could feed a family through the winter months. What made Henderson Bush Limas revolutionary was their heat tolerance and nitrogen-fixing ability. While pole limas needed support and took up vertical space, these bush varieties stayed low and produced heavily in just 65 days. The beans themselves were smaller than today's large limas, but packed with flavor and protein. Smart gardeners knew that lima beans also improved the soil for next year's crops, a win-win that modern agriculture has abandoned. 15. Brandywine tomato. Before shipping and shelf life became more important than flavor, the Brandywine tomato was the undisputed king of American gardens. This massive pink-shouldered beauty could weigh over a pound per fruit and delivered a rich, complex flavor that made store-bought tomatoes taste like cardboard. One plant could produce enough tomatoes to feed a family and fill dozens of canning jars. The Brandywine's irregular ribbed shape might look odd compared to modern round tomatoes, but that's exactly what made it special. Those deep shoulders and creases held incredible flavor, and the meaty flesh had fewer seeds and more substance than hybrid varieties. This Amish heirloom from the 1880s proves that sometimes the old ways really were better, and the taste difference will absolutely blow your mind. 14. Purple top white globe turnip. When root vegetables meant survival, purple top white globe turnip was a Victory Garden staple that delivered nutrition above and below ground. This hardy biennial produced sweet, crisp roots that could stay in the ground through light frosts, actually improving in flavor as cold weather concentrated their sugars. But here's what smart gardeners knew. The real treasure was in those nutritious greens. Purple top turnips were the ultimate dual-purpose crop that modern gardeners have completely forgotten. The roots could be eaten fresh, stored in root cellars for months, or pickled for long-term preservation. Meanwhile, the greens provided fresh vitamins throughout the growing season and could be harvested multiple times without harming root development. This 1880s variety understood that in tough times, every part of the plant had to earn its keep. 13. Straight 8. Cucumber. Before cucumbers were bred for shipping and uniform appearance, Straight 8 was the variety that won an All-America Selections Award in 1935 and became a Victory Garden favorite. These dark green cylindrical cucumbers grew perfectly straight and uniform, making them ideal for slicing, pickling, and canning, essential skills when fresh vegetables weren't available year-round. What made Straight 8 special was its reliability and disease resistance that modern varieties can't match. The vines produced heavily over a long season, and the cucumbers maintained their quality, whether picked small for pickles or allowed to grow large for slicing. Victory gardeners appreciated that these cucumbers didn't turn bitter in hot weather like many varieties, and they held their crispness in pickle brines better than anything available today. 12. Red Wethersfield onion. Long before sweet onions became popular, red Wethersfield onion was the storage champion that kept American families fed through long winters. This deep red flattened globe could be braided and hung in cool, dry places where it would keep for 8 to 10 months without sprouting or rotting. Victory gardeners knew that onions were essential for flavoring the simple, hearty meals that stretched rationed ingredients. Red Wethersfield onions had a sharp, pungent flavor when fresh that mellowed beautifully when cooked, making them perfect for the slow-cooked stews and casseroles that defined wartime cooking. These onions were also incredibly productive. One packet of seeds could produce enough onions to last a family through winter. The thick, papery skins protected the bulbs during storage, and the strong flavor meant a little went a long way. 11. Ford Hook Giant Swiss Chard. When leafy greens were essential but lettuce was unreliable, Ford Hook Giant Swiss Chard was the Victory Garden hero that produced nutritious leaves all season long. This colorful plant, with its bright white stems and dark green leaves, could be harvested continuously. Just cut the outer leaves, and the center kept producing new growth for months. What made Ford Hook Giant special was its heat tolerance and incredible productivity. While spinach bolted in summer heat and lettuce became bitter, Swiss chard thrived in hot weather and actually improved in flavor after light frosts. Victory gardeners loved that both the leaves and stems were edible. The leaves cooked like spinach, while the thick white stems could be prepared like asparagus. One plant could feed a family fresh greens from early summer through late fall. 10. Connecticut Field Pumpkin. Before pumpkins became just Halloween decorations, Connecticut field pumpkin was a serious food crop that helped American families survive winter months. These large orange beauties could weigh 15 to 25 pounds each and store for 6 to 8 months in cool, dry conditions. Victory gardeners grew them not just for pies, but as a staple food that could be prepared dozens of different ways. Connecticut field pumpkins were the ultimate storage crop that modern families have completely abandoned. The thick, hard shells protected the sweet, orange flesh through winter, and families would cut them open as needed for fresh vegetables when nothing else was available. The flesh could be baked, boiled, mashed, or dried, and even the seeds were roasted for protein-rich snacks. Smart gardeners would plant them along fence lines, letting the vines sprawl where they wouldn't take up valuable garden space. 9. Black-seeded Simpson lettuce. When crisp salads were a luxury, black-seeded Simpson lettuce was the reliable leaf lettuce that kept Victory gardens producing fresh greens even in challenging conditions. This loose leaf variety didn't form heads like modern lettuce, but instead produced tender, crinkled leaves that could be harvested continuously throughout the growing season. What made black-seeded Simpson invaluable was its heat tolerance and quick growth that modern lettuce varieties can't match. 8. Golden Bantam Sweet Corn. Before corn became a commodity crop, Golden Bantam Sweet Corn was the variety that defined what corn should taste like. These compact stalks produced small 6-inch ears with just 8 rows of kernels. But those golden kernels had a sweetness and flavor that modern super sweet varieties can't match. Victory gardeners grew Golden Bantam because it was reliable, early maturing, and perfect for small gardens. Golden Bantam's genius was in its concentrated flavor and adaptability. The ears were small enough that families could eat them fresh without waste, and the stalks were short enough to grow in limited space. The corn stayed sweet longer than other varieties, giving families time to harvest and preserve it properly. This 1902 introduction proved that sometimes smaller is better. Those compact ears delivered more flavor per kernel than the massive ears we see today. 7. Scarlet runner beans. Long before pole beans became just a garden curiosity, scarlet runner beans were a Victory garden staple that provided both food and beauty. These vigorous climbers produced stunning red flowers that attracted hummingbirds and beneficial insects, while the large, colorful beans provided protein-rich nutrition that could be eaten fresh or dried for winter storage. What made scarlet runner beans special was their dual purpose and incredible productivity. The bright red flowers were not only beautiful, but edible, adding color to salads and garnishes. The young pods could be eaten like green beans, while mature beans were perfect for drying and storing. These beans were also incredibly hardy, tolerating cool weather that would stop other beans from producing. One planting could provide fresh vegetables, dried protein, and garden beauty all season long. 6. Hubbard squash. When winter storage meant survival, Hubbard squash was the Victory garden champion that could feed a family for months. These massive blue-gray beauties could weigh 10 to 40 pounds each and store for 8 to 10 months in cool, dry conditions. Victory gardeners knew that one good Hubbard plant could produce enough squash to last through the entire winter. Hubbard squash earned its reputation through incredible keeping quality and versatility that modern storage methods can't match. The thick, hard shell protected the sweet, orange flesh from spoilage, and families would cut into them as needed throughout winter. The flesh could be baked, boiled, mashed, or even dried for long-term storage. Smart cooks would use every part: the flesh for main dishes and desserts, the seeds roasted for snacks, and even the shells as serving bowls. 5. Mortgage lifter tomato. During the Great Depression, a West Virginia mechanic named Charlie Biles developed a tomato so remarkable that he paid off his $6,000 mortgage by selling the plants for $1 each. The mortgage lifter tomato could weigh up to 4 pounds per fruit and produced such massive yields that victory gardeners could feed their families and sell the surplus to neighbors. What made mortgage lifter legendary was its incredible size and disease resistance that modern hybrids can't match. These pink-shouldered giants had meaty flesh with few seeds, making them perfect for slicing, canning, and cooking. The plants were incredibly productive, often yielding 20 to 30 pounds of tomatoes each. Charlie Biles proved that sometimes the best varieties come from necessity and determination, and this tomato literally paid off mortgages. 4. Chantenay Red Core Carrot. Before baby carrots were invented, Chantenay Red Core carrots were the Victory Garden standard that delivered maximum nutrition in minimum space. These broad-shouldered, tapered carrots were perfect for heavy or shallow soils where longer varieties would fork or struggle. Victory gardeners appreciated their sweet flavor, excellent storage quality, and the fact that they could be harvested at any size. Chantenay carrots were bred for practicality and nutrition that modern carrots have lost. The deep orange color indicated high vitamin A content, essential when fresh fruits were scarce. These carrots could be eaten fresh, stored in root cellars for months, or canned for long-term preservation. The broad shoulders meant more carrot per plant, and the tapered shape made them easy to harvest even from heavy clay soils. 3. Large red Wethersfield onion. When storage onions meant the difference between flavorful meals and bland survival food, large red Wethersfield was the variety that kept American kitchens supplied through long winters. These deep red flattened globes could weigh over a pound each and store for 10 to 12 months when properly cured and stored. Large red Wethersfield onions were the ultimate storage champions that modern onions can't match. Their thick, papery skins and dense flesh resisted sprouting and rotting, while their strong, pungent flavor went a long way in seasoning wartime meals. Victory gardeners would braid the tops and hang them in cool, dry places where they'd keep until the next harvest. One plant could produce a bulb large enough to flavor multiple meals. 2. Mammoth Long Red Mangle Beet. While most people think of mangles as livestock feed, victory gardeners knew that mammoth long red mangle beets were excellent human food that could produce incredible yields in small spaces. These massive roots could grow 2 feet long and weigh 15 to 20 pounds each, providing more food per square foot than almost any other crop. What made mangle beets special was their incredible productivity and storage ability that modern vegetables can't match. The roots could be harvested after frost, stored in root cellars for months, and used throughout winter for both human and animal food. The flesh was sweet and nutritious, perfect for soups, stews, and even baked like sweet potatoes. Victory gardeners appreciated that mangles would grow in poor soil where other crops failed. 1. Glass gem corn. At the top of our list is perhaps the most remarkable corn variety ever developed, glass gem corn. created by Cherokee farmer Carl Barnes through decades of careful seed saving and selection. This stunning corn produces ears with kernels in every color of the rainbow, from deep blues and purples to bright reds, yellows, and oranges. Each ear is unique, like a piece of living art that will absolutely blow your mind. Glass gem corn represents everything that Victory Garden stood for: self-sufficiency, seed saving, and preserving genetic diversity for future generations. While it's not a sweet corn for eating fresh, it makes excellent cornmeal, hominy, and popcorn. The kernels are incredibly hard and store well, making them perfect for long-term food security. Carl Barnes spent years selecting and crossing different Native American corn varieties, proving that one dedicated gardener can create something truly remarkable. This corn reminds us that our food should be beautiful, diverse, and connected to our heritage. These 20 Victory Garden vegetables prove that our grandparents knew something we've forgotten. The best crops are the ones that can feed you through anything. From Detroit dark red beets to glass gem corn, these varieties delivered nutrition, flavor, and food security when it mattered most. Make sure to subscribe for more forgotten garden secrets, and check out the next video on your screen where I'll show you the banned vegetables that could revolutionize your garden today.